from his head coach, Mike Tomlin. Now, Sean Payton's like, that's a bounty. Give me a break. As a player, when you read that story on Tomlin and James Harrison in the envelope, how does it land for you?
I think being a guy who got hit in the head a lot by James Harrison for a long time, I can first off relate. But you know what? I think for me, I've always been on James's side. Being a guy that competed with him every year, I really felt he got unjustly treated in that whole deal because really the league changed its stance on all those things. And all of a sudden it became that he was this demon because he was hitting people this way. When he had been doing it forever, it was on highlight videos. It was celebrated. It was as big as hits in the league. And then things changed with concussions. And all of a sudden they kind of used him as the staple to make a point. And so I never took it that I read the story and that Tomlin kind of gave it to him as a promotion or like a, hey, great job doing it. It sounded more like to me that he was saying that Tomlin helped him in some way, like, hey, I'm going to help you pay this fine because it's ridiculous that you got fined for it.
Yeah. So you had respect for Harrison as a player.
Oh, man, I thought he was a tremendous football player and competed a certain way. And not only that, I mean, he knows this. I played with him 1 year in Cincy. He's not a real tall guy in stature. So he was when he would explode and come out of his hips and hit people, a lot of the times receivers, DBs, running backs, he was at head level with those guys, much like a running back does when he lowers his head in a hole.
I've been talking about this. I did not like the story on Cam Newton to Seattle going public. It did not happen. I don't think you should have to coddle a quarterback, but I do think you should support him. And I don't think Cam plays like Russell. And I don't think he fits. He is a celebrity. He's a starter in this league. He's not a backup, and I don't think it works. When you heard the story, and I've always felt Russell's one of the only quarterbacks in the league that's great, and his organization just never puts their arm around him and gives him that support. What did you make of the Cam to Seattle story? Let's start with that.
I thought it was interesting because I agree with you. I don't think they're necessarily the same player. I think Cam's a tremendous football player and definitely could be a starter still in this league. But I don't think those guys are that similar in styles and how they actually play. And Russell's a guy to me that never gets his due and his credit because he's tremendous and all he does is win.
Why doesn't he get the credit? There's got to be an explanation, Andrew.
You know, I think it's interesting. It's almost like we choose different guys across the league, whether we're going to judge them by stats or whether we're going to judge them by wins or Super Bowls, whatever it is. We kind of pick our things to judge guys by. And if it's Breeze, it's always got to be, even though he has won a championship lately, it's really been about stats. And we judge him his greatness, and he is a great football player. But it's by stats. If it's Brady, it's by championships. And, you know, for whatever reason, Russell Wilson, it's like, hey, all the success he's had every single year he wins. How he's not in that conversation is one of those guys that's like, man, how is somebody better than him? You know, it always blows you away because regardless of their team and how they're set up and how good they are on any side of the ball, they win.
Let's talk about Tua. Number one jersey seller in the NFL for his home jersey. Number two jersey seller is the road Miami uniform. So he's got a special sort of it quality to him, whether it's a Tebow or it's a Baker. You can be polarizing, you can be likable, whatever it is, Tua's got that. As an offensive lineman, do you block or think differently when Jared Goff was like a rookie to now? If you had a rookie quarterback, does it change the way you block, you think, you go into a game plan, you scheme?
I think it does. The first thing I'd say about that comment is Joe Burrow, welcome to Cincinnati when it comes to jersey sales. And two, I would say as an O-lineman, you know, yes, I think as a young player, you don't necessarily change, you know, how I'm going to block. I don't change what I'm going to do. But I am conscious that probably different things like in college football, the depth they can get in the pocket, how much they can kind of sink back and run away from defenders in the pocket and get away with it, just doesn't happen in NFL football. If you get past 9-10 yards, you're getting your head taken off in NFL football. These guys are too athletic. They're too fast. They're too powerful. And you've got to give your O-lineman an opportunity to really have somewhere to push guys around the pocket. If it's not going to be a bull rush and they're going to be pushing up the middle, they're going to be running around the edges. And you're going to have to find your way to finagle yourself in that pocket. You see Russell Wilson, you see Drew Brees, all these guys, they do such a great job. Russell does it by movement. A guy like Drew Brees does it by continuing to stay so shallow in the pocket and really giving his tackles the opportunity to push guys around. Tom Brady's always been tremendous at it. That's the things those guys are going to have to learn, and it's going to make the biggest difference for them the quicker they learn that pocket and where they're standing and how they protect their linemen by the way they do it is going to be the most important thing they learn, because it's going to give them time to get the football out of their hand.
Story came out a week ago from a longtime NFL veteran reporter that Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels' relationship deteriorated, one of the reasons Tom left. In your opinion, can a player struggle in a relationship with a coach and still win?
I mean, I think inevitably in any business in the world, anything you do, everybody doesn't always get along. And I think that being grown men, I think maybe if you're talking about a young quarterback, a guy who just got in and he doesn't like his coaches, or he doesn't, really feel like he vibes with that coach, I think that can be something that's, effective on that player, and it can affect him emotionally and maybe how he prepares. But a veteran quarterback, regardless of whether the story is accurate or not, I mean, I don't see how it would affect him, because as long as he believes in really the philosophy of the offense and how they're going to do things week in and week out to attack teams, it doesn't really matter to him that much about that relationship, as much as there's a respect level there that we can work together, we can go out and try and attack and execute. Now, if you ever get past respect, or you get past, hey, you know what, a guy like Tom or something didn't believe in the philosophy, that's a whole other issue. But I think if he believes in the philosophy and the way we're going to attack teams, I think it really isn't going to have a lot to do with success.
Finally, Rams have new uniforms. I like them. Joy likes them. They're bright. What does a big offensive lineman think about them?
Well, they're bright. And, as an O-lineman, Colin, I'm really not worried about how good they look. I'm worried about how bad I might look in them, So we're more worried about, things like, how bad we're going to look in that, bone and how much fat rolls we're going to have in them. So, that's the things we worry about. But, no, I think it all looks good. I really actually like the bone uniform, and I love the home, too. And we got a chance yesterday as some of the veterans to kind of talk about what we want to wear and when and that kind of stuff. So it was fun, man. We're excited about it. A new look, a refreshing look, and it's we're excited for the opportunity to hopefully get a chance to put them on soon.
Andrew Whitworth, good talking to you on Friday, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right, good stuff. Bring him on every couple of weeks. Smart dude. Here is Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herd Line News. Sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
So the last two NFL MVPs, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, had incredible seasons that no one really saw coming.
Right.
So is that a trend that could continue this year?
Yes.
Adam Shine put together a list for NFL.com of dark horse candidates for the 2020 MVP. And Josh Allen is at the top.
Big arm, new weapon.
I don't know how you'll feel about number two.
Well, who's number two?
Baker Mayfield.
I think Baker's going to have a really good year. I don't think that's crazy. I think Baker's going to have a big year. Now, here's the thing about Baker, and here's the thing about Josh Allen. Josh Allen and Baker are going to be on football teams that may not be trailing late in games or in fourth quarters, because Buffalo's defense is so good.
Right.
So Buffalo, Sean McDermott's a pretty conservative head coach. If you lead with 9 minutes to go, you pack it in. You run the football. So you're not going to have. It's much better if if your defense is okay, like Patrick Mahomes. He has to throw.
Their defense was struggling, so he had some really incredible
Aaron
numbers.
Rodgers. Aaron hasn't had great defenses in his career, and so therefore Aaron needs to throw. I don't think Josh and Baker. I don't think they're going to be trailing in 9-10 games this year with 8 minutes to go. I don't.
Well, Fox Bet has Josh Allen at plus 5,000 to win MVP. He's tied for 16th best odds with Baker Mayfield and Christian McCaffrey. Drew Lock's plus 8,000 to win MVP, who is your second year.
I think
sleeper.
Drew Lock is going to be potentially in the discussion for it.
Well, the rest of the dark horse list is Ezekiel Elliott, Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Matt Ryan, Derrick Henry, Drew Lock at 8, and Michael Thomas.
Oh, okay. So Drew Lock's in there. Mm-hmm. I got nothing but crap for mentioning that.
Are you reading your mentions, Colin?
I am petty today. Yeah, I read my mentions on Drew Lock, and I have had enough of it.
James Conner dealt with a number of injuries last season that kept him sidelined for 6 games and limited in the ones that he did play. But because of this, his performance dipped in 2019. But Mike Tomlin is hoping that Connor can get back on track this year. He said, "We're excited about what the group is doing largely. Usually it's going well. It's because you have a lead dog out front, and that guy is the feature runner. James is a featured guy and proven runner when healthy. We're excited about getting him back to health and displaying that in 2020.
Hey, Goulet, look up his numbers. James Conner, didn't he get hurt?
Yes, he was hurt. He was hurt last year. He was sidelined for 6 games.
Le'Veon Bell can carry 300 times. James Conner carries at 175. I'm good with that. I don't know if he's talented. I don't think he's a lead dog. Didn't they?
He had
drafted
116 that they Benny Snell. Is capable of being a featured runner if Connor's not available. He had 108 rushing attempts, 426 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions last year.
If they both got 145 carries, that feels
it feels more of like a running
combo.
back by committee.
Yeah. And by the way, that unlike quarterback, 2 good running backs.
That can work.
Oh yeah, works a lot in the NFL.
And I think especially if you have running backs who are, it's not great for fantasy and for their individual numbers for getting paid and things like that. But if you're in a situation where you don't feel like you need to have necessarily a lead runner like that, and then you have a great third down back as well. Or
hey, I just got it in my Alex. Who did they pick in the 4th round this year? The Steelers. Anthony McFarland, Maryland. Alex is very good back there. So they picked a 3rd running back up. 4th round's a legitimate player.
Yeah, you want some depth at that position, especially since he was banged up last year. So Taysom Hill seems to be next in line to be the Saints starter whenever Drew Brees retires. He's only attempted 15 passes in his career, but head coach Sean Payton is very confident in what Hill can do.
For those that aren't sold, it's probably because they haven't seen enough of him in games, and I can certainly understand that. We think that he's going to be an outstanding NFL quarterback. He's a very good athlete, but